だからアヌビスをゴミにダメだシノ
悪いかよ。
いいえ、助かったわ。ありがとう。
Welcome everybody to 25 Anime with Mental Illness. My name is Misty/Connexia, and today I wanted to abort a more serious topic. Have you ever noticed how anime have sometimes really deep mental illness hidden within their characters? I don't mean any disrespect with this video, many of these characters are considered some of the best ever created, but are they all mentally sane? After a lot of research, I've pinpointed 25 animes whose characters showcase a lot of symptoms from these mental illness. Number 1. Perfect Blue. Schizophrenia and Paranoia. Let's start with one of the most renowned titles. This one is a movie from the 90s about an idol who slowly finds her way into madness. She showcased signs of schizophrenia and paranoia. Someone starts to stalk the girl and slowly she starts to lose her sanity. Number 2. Mirai Nikki, Stockholm Syndrome. Yuno Gasai is one of the most iconic female characters when it comes to Crazy Town, but what about Yuki? Have you ever noticed how he turns out to be the perfect case of Stockholm Syndrome? For those of you who don't know, Stockholm Syndrome is a mental illness where the victim of an abduction/hostage situation develops an attraction, a love, and an understanding for the captor. In this case, Yuki falling in love with Yuno when she kidnaps him. Number 3. Black Rock Shooter. Paranoia, abandonment issue, depression. Black Rock Shooter is definitely a cocktail of mental illness. Not entirely focusing on the main girl character, but rather her friends who fall into a severe case of paranoia when she thinks her friends abandoned her, which leads her into a severe depression. You also have some tertiary characters who display clear signs of psychosis, which are hallucinations. Number 4. Sakurasu no Pet na Kanajo. Autism. This is one of the most subtle one on this list, and it shocked me when I thought about it more because I never considered it before. Have you ever noticed how Mashiro, the main girl character in this anime, displays a lot of symptoms akin to autism? If you're not very familiar with the illness, let me tell you some of the symptoms. Flat or monotonous speech, inappropriate social interaction, delay in learning, behavioral disturbance, avoidance of eye contact, and limited interests. Sounds a lot like her, doesn't it? Number 5. One Piece. Compulsive lying, kleptomania, and so forth. One Piece is one of the most beloved stories around the world, and me saying the characters are mentally ill is definitely going to ruffle some feathers of a few fans. But have you ever noticed how nearly every one of Luffy's ship members have an illness? Or at the very least starts with one. Usopp being a compulsive liar, they're not even trying to hide it. Nami's a kleptomaniac, which is someone who can't help but steal stuff. Of course she has a reason, but the fact she enjoys her thieving makes her on the list. Sanji is addicted to smoking and love, and Frankie got some levels of OCD going on for sure, and Robin keeps putting herself down constantly until spoiler stuff happens. Number 6. Little Buster. Narcolepsy. When you think about it, narcolepsy, or also known as falling asleep instantly at any time, is a condition a lot of people consider funny, and not really a real issue. It is in this anime, and I can't talk more about it without giving out some major spoilers, so if that piques your interest, definitely look this one up. Number 7. Naruto. PTSD, mood disorder, emotional dependency, and ADD. Sasuke, do I even need to say more? After witnessing the whole death of his clan, Sasuke ends up with a pretty severe case of PTSD, short for post-traumatic stress disorder. This creates within him mood disorder, which people jokes a lot about calling him emo. Sakura on her side showcased some clear signs of emotional dependency about Sasuke, and a lot could argue that Naruto himself starts off with a case of ADD, or attention deficit disorder. Number 8. Watamote. Social anxiety. When it comes to Watamote, all the people can say is cringe. This anime is pure cringe. That's because Tomoko deals with social anxiety and makes her awkward in absolutely every simple situation she gets herself in, overthinking things and hoping to avoid interaction with people as much as possible. That's social anxiety for you. Number 9. You're lying in April. PTSD. As far as post-traumatic stress disorder goes, I think one of the prime candidates for that is Arima Kosei. After the death of his mother, he lost his will to play music, and it definitely affected him on a mental level. Number 10. Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. Depression and OCD. Although not a title a lot of people talk about, Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei deals a lot with mental illness. A lot of them actually. Albeit they definitely use a more comical and lighthearted approach about the matter. If you read in between the lines, you'll see a lot of precursor symptoms of depression, suicidal thoughts, and a girl with a pretty acute OCD problem. Number 11. Welcome to the NHK. Social anxiety. This is also one of the more obvious one on this list. Sato is a 22-year-old guy living on his own. His social anxiety makes him, like Tomoko from Watamori, a very complex and difficult to deal with character. One could also argue he's got some case of paranoia when talking about those conspiracy theories and whatnot. Number 12, Steins Gate, schizophrenia. This one might shatter the reality of some of you who've seen the anime. Did you ever stop to think Okabe is schizophrenic? This anime is a masterpiece of time travel, but everything is always presented from the point of view of Okabe. Why is that? Add to it his random outbursts of laughter and him talking to his phone with no one on the other end. Those are definitely symptoms of this illness. I'll be the first to admit this one is more in the theory crafting section, but hey, food's for tots. Number 13, Higurashi, schizophrenia and paranoia. People going crazy left and right, it's not hard to see several of them having to deal with paranoia, personality disorders, schizophrenia, self-mutilation, and on and on. If you have an appreciation for mental illness characters and haven't seen this one, it's worth checking out. Number 14, School Life, PTSD and Psychosis. This one is kind of spoilery, but at the same time this happens in the very first episode, so if you really don't want to know about this, skip to number 15. Otherwise, let me tell you about Yuki. You good? Yeah? Okay. Well, when episode 1 begins, Yuki lives in a very cheery school, and at the end of the episode, though, you learn that Yuki is actually dealing with a severe case of PTSD when her school got invaded by zombies. Add to it the psychosis of her creating hallucination of her now deceased friends, it definitely sends shiver down his spine. Number 15, Soul Eater, OCD. Although being displayed as kind of a joke throughout the whole show, Kid, one of the main characters, definitely showcased some symptoms of obsessive-compulsive disorder about symmetry. I know some people think of OCD lightly, thinking it's just a clean freaks, but it definitely forced the people afflicted with this illness to do things you wouldn't grasp, such as touching a spot on the wall 3 times, flicking the light switch 7 times, and leaving the door with your left foot forward. If done wrong, then they have to start over. This is something Kid has with his symmetry, although, like I said, it's mostly used for comical relief, kind of is disrespectful for the people with real OCD, but hey, it fits the bill. Number 16, Elfenlied, multiple personality disorder and sociopathy. While she did require some sort of trigger, Lucy, or New, whichever you want to call her, definitely jumps from a lovey-dovey innocent girl to a psychopath with sociopathic tendency, who just goes on a rampage, giving what the cool kids would classify as no fucks. Number 17, Issue Count Friends, Amnesia. When it comes to amnesia, it's a cop-out for a lot of shows who don't want to reveal or build characters properly. They give them amnesia as some kind of temporary fix so they can make a big reveal later on, which is poor writing in my book, but Issue Count Friends use the condition in a very creative way. Kaori is a girl with chronic memory loss. After a week, she forgets everything. It's definitely an interesting approach and a creative way to properly address this illness. Number 18, Death Note, sociopath, delusion of grandeur, Asperger's syndrome. This anime is literally 3 kids with mental illness fighting against each other. On one side you have Light, which is more of an anti-hero, with clear signs of being a sociopath with delusion of grandeur, if not god complex, and a self-centered lack of empathy. Versus L and Nier, who seems to be both afflicted with Asperger's syndrome, an illness a little akin to autism where people show difficulty in social environment and repetitive behavior, unfocused interest, etc. Number 19, Tale of the Abyss, Gynophobia. Tale of the Abyss is an anime based upon a game, and on the mental level, it definitely has a lot going on. But I want to talk about Guy's gynophobia, or the fear of women. Something that got triggered when he was a kid as a defense mechanism to an event which gave him PTSD. Despite Guy being a side character, he still managed to be likable. You make his condition something you care about. Number 20, Holic. Addiction, self-sabotage, pathological lying. In Holic, you'll find a lot of different cases, some having addictions, some who can't help but constantly lie, and even some people who can't accept their own success so they constantly sabotage themselves. Holic is a really dark anime that you might be able to see from a different perspective. Number 21, Narutaru, Suicidal Thoughts. Narutaru is a very serious anime about a girl who befriended a strange creature. Eventually, she notices other kids befriended other creatures and they're not all playing nice, some leading kids to straight up suicide. It's a super heavy piece about suicide that I think is quite underrated. If you like thriller, maybe you can enjoy this show. Number 22, Evangelion, abandonment issue, depression, anxiety, self-loathing. Beside never getting the fucking robot, Shinji. Shinji is a kid with a shit ton of issues. First off, he has to deal with constant anxiety, he hates himself, he's depressed, and don't even get me started on his father. Evangelion is messed up on all fronts, so good luck trying to deal with it. Number 23, the Tatami Galaxy. Depression. The whole point of the Tatami Galaxy is regret. So much regret that it throws the main character into a depressive state that is incredibly well rendered with the surreal visuals that the anime go through. Number 24, Tsuritama. Anxiety. In Tsuritama, you have another main character who absolutely fails at making any kind of social interaction. This causes him a great deal of anxiety, which leads him to freeze whenever he gets involved with people. It's a very intricate aspect of this illness, and the producer plays it out quite well. Number 25, Code Geass. Sociopath, God complex, depression, madness, dementia. Once again, we have a solid cocktail of illnesses, most of which all pertain to Lelouch. His patriotism converts him into a sociopath with a god complex, when he gets a new ability that allows him to control people. Eventually, that drives him into madness and dementia, which, if anything, it makes for a really complex character. So that's all I had for you guys today, but of course there's still several more, such as Monster with its sociopath point of view, or even more PTSD in Sound of the Sky, or the Stockholm Syndrome again in Samurai 7, you got split personality in Danganronpa, and then you got Serial Experiment Lane, which is a whole thing on itself, and so forth. So truly it's not the choice that are missing. So if you'd like to make a suggestion about one in particular that affected you in a way or another, make sure to add the title in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe maybe for more in the future. The point of this video is not to take mental illness lightly, quite the opposite. If you're dealing with stress, depression, suicidal thoughts, or